Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and in today's video I'm going to be giving my instant reaction to Sean Brady submitting Leon Edwards in round 4. If you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so, like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. As a UK fan, a UK card that's actually in UK time zone is just something of miracles, something that I love. I watched every single fight on the card and I was here for the whole event, and it was, maybe not the most highlight reel of events. There was some quite big defeats and some quite big moments, and of course there wasn't some quite big moments. There was quite a few decisions and things like that, but in general, I don't care if it's a decision. I'm not one to ever boo a fighter or think it's boring or anything like that. I was just invested in it, and to see Brady get the submission. I mean, I said that he'd win via TKO, I said in round 4, but submission, stoppage still in round 4, and it was kind of on track for me to be a very bad week of predictions because I got all the Camboza's card wrong and I'd got the Ulberg Blachowicz one wrong, so it was shaping up to be bad. But obviously Brady was able to get that submission. He came in, started quickly on the feet, looked good on the feet when he was doing it, but then when he got and started mixing in the takedowns, he came out in the second round very quickly and caught Edwards off guard. Then in the third round, Edwards made a really poor mistake and shot for a takedown, a lazy takedown that just gave Brady the neck straight away. And then the fourth round just got him to the ground again, and from there you're kind of just thinking, this is either going to get dragged out into a comfortable win for Brady, or it was just going to be a submission at some point, and it did look like it was bound to happen. I mean, the squeeze that Brady put on was very impressive. You could see he has that stocky figure about him where he can just put on that tight squeeze whenever he finds the right position, and I wasn't even sure if he could even really get it from that position kind of behind the back, but he still was able to do it very impressively. And obviously now he's gone and on short notice gone and stopped at the hometown fighter, and he silenced the crowd. As a British fan, I'm not exactly supporting Brady, but I thought he'd be able to do it. I just didn't think that Leon had a kind of willingness to be on the ground, and he was always going to find it difficult with the wrestling of Brady. I also thought Brady would mix it up well with the striking as well, and I thought Leon Edwards' timing isn't what it used to be, and I was kind of right, to be honest. I mean, he didn't do loads that was really that impressive, and like I say, was controlled on the ground throughout the entire fight. And now that's pretty much, not all she wrote for Edwards, but there's not going to be too many big opportunities from this fight. He's going to have to rebuild. He's going to have to look down the pecking order and give an opportunity to another up-and-comer, and it's going to be even lower down the rankings now, and he's not going to get probably the main event slot ever again, or at least not until he is able to rebuild, if he is ever able to rebuild. And he's in a really tricky position in his career now. And Brady, though, he's been shot into stardom. He's now probably going to get given that number 1 contender slot. Do I feel like he's going to get straight into fighting for Muhammad's title? No, because obviously Muhammad stopped him, so I doubt that will happen. But like I mentioned in my prediction, there's multiple different great welterweight fights that could happen. A Kamaru Usman fight, a Buckley fight, there's multiple different guys that he could fight and could be an excellent contest with. And so we'll have to wait and see. Maybe an Ian Gary fight. Like I say, great bunch of options there, but it's a shame for Edwards. Had the hype of the British crowd is going to mean that British MMA is maybe taking a little bit of a backward step for main events and fight nights, probably at the moment, until maybe they give Paddy another main event fight night, or a main event fight night. But it means if it's just kind of Tom Aspinall leading the way, and we'll have to wait and see how Paddy goes against Michael Chandler. But it is a bit of a shame to see, but obviously it's what happens. Brady, full credit to him. And to move on to speak about the Ulberg Blachowicz fight, obviously I got my prediction wrong, but you could argue that Blachowicz maybe deserved to win. It wasn't the best of fights. I don't think that Ulberg is as exciting and as explosive, and gonna put on a show as what he once was when he was first coming up as a prospect. He's in his past couple fights not really thrown quite as big a shots, and he's been a bit more, back foot type of vibe, and not really wanting to do anything too crazy. But he was landing at times. Blachowicz as well was landing at times. He was quite liking the slow pace and was chopping down with the leg shots as he always does. But Blachowicz again, he's another guy who's going to have to go and drop back down again. And will we see him fight in a lower position? I don't know if he'll want to, because obviously he's much older now than what he was, just 2 years ago when he was last fighting. And I just don't necessarily know if he's going to be too keen of taking such a big backward step, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't think he looked bad at all. I don't think the injury or the timeout really affected him too badly, but still, it's going to be intriguing to see. But Ulberg now, he's a new face in the light heavyweight division. I've been always kind of saying that they need new faces in this division, and Ulberg's kind of been the one almost floating around. Now he is, cemented in there. Jiri Prochazka fight would be a good fight. A Roundtree versus Hill winner would be a good fight, but we'll have to wait and see. Going off that performance and his last performance, he's not kind of really making me think, this is the guy for the light heavyweight division. We'll have to wait and see. Holland got a good decision win versus Nelson. That was quite a surprising one. I mean, obviously he moved back down to welterweight, Holland, and again didn't really have that long of a camp, but he was back in and he got a nice, big knockdown in the first round, which helped win him that round, and he did definitely need that. I mean, the second round was quite close, but Holland did do enough to win. But then, he did well to get out the submission attempt from Nelson in round 3 when Nelson was tired. Maybe if it was a bit earlier in the fight, he may have been able to get it when he had that bit more energy. But still, Holland did well on the ground. He did better on the ground. A lot of people have been slating Holland's grappling and everything, and he proved that he can grapple. Obviously, when he's up at middleweight, it's different because the guys are so much bigger. Holland, I feel like, does fight best at the welterweight division when he is the much lankier, bigger guy. Obviously, it's difficult to make the weight, but I think he definitely does fight the best there. He still kind of said that he'll fight anybody at any point, so we'll have to wait and see if he's going to be back up at middleweight anytime soon. But that was a good win and a necessary win for his UFC career. There's only a certain amount of losses that one fighter can take, even if they are coming in on consistent short notice and they are entertaining fights, before the UFC has to kind of look and see, is it worth keeping them around. But Holland, a good decision victory. And then the last fight I wanted to talk about, again, another shame for the British crowd. McCann losing via submission in round 1 versus Thainara. Thainara had that interesting walkout to start off with, but she looked excellent, to be fair, and really stuck it on McCann straight away. Got a nice little trip for the takedown, and then McCann submitted round 1. It was sad. Obviously she retired. I feel like that's a fair retirement because, as she said, she doesn't want to be just the person coming in and dealing with somebody coming in on short notice and still getting submitted in round 1. It's just not really what she's there for, just getting the paydays. And so I respect that. She's done amazing in her career and her story is incredible, but that is a shame to see a very kind of big British female MMA icon to lose. And it was sad seeing Paddy Pimblett being upset on the sidelines and things as well. But yeah, an excellent career. And yeah, that is it for today's video.